So, Mark, did you see that video of Flamingo's Go Pool? We talked about it finally being open. It looked great, and then they filled it up with people, and now, no thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, what bargain champagne or sparkling wine do you think they got? Does Boone Farms make a version of this?
Champagne by the box.
The good thing about it is at least that alcohol will kill all the pee and poo in the pool.
There you go. So Grandissimo is a word that is known in the history of Las Vegas, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Circa launched their Survivor Grandissimo, as if the old Circa Survivor wasn't a big enough deal. They also launched the new Circa Survivor, so just like before, they're upping the guarantee to $15 million this year, meaning that if there's not enough signups, they'll still pay that out. But then they launched Grandissimo, $100,000 sign up, max of 2 entries. You get this whole Grandissimo experience and a $1.5 million guarantee. So they got to get at least 15 signups or else Circa is coming out of pocket. I'm sure you're going to see more than 15 people sign up for this.
I think it might be more of like the professional gamblers that do, or sports bettors that do that, the $100,000 buy-in one too. So it might be a tougher pool to win, but a smaller pool, so your odds are a bit higher. I've always wondered, does Circa make any money off of this, or is this just a publicity thing, get people in, get people excited? Of course, we talk about it several times throughout the year, and then they get all the videos from it. Do they just do it as like an outreach type thing? If they're guaranteeing 15 million, I'm guessing that it's grown every year and that's going to draw even more people in. So I think they'll cover it, but I wonder if they make like any money off of this or if it's just all for the fun of it.
Well, let's answer that by looking at this experience that you get if you sign up for Grandissimo. 3 nights in the Founder Suite, round trip flight on Jet Suite X, Derek's signature experience at Stadium Swim, top shelf tasting experience at Legacy Club, curated dining experience at Andiamo Steakhouse, and then you get a bunch more stuff. So if they're giving you all of that and they're not taking a rake, this tells you it's bringing in the kind of people they want to bring in.
Yeah, this one I think makes a lot more sense in that respect. Like if you're bringing in $100,000. I mean, there could still be buying groups. I'm thinking it's going to be more serious bettors, and they want them in the sports book. They want to bring them in, and that's kind of been their goal from the get-go. So I think they're trying to attract that type of clientele downtown, which I think is a cool idea. And yeah, you do get a lot of perks for it, plus a chance at 1.5 million. So they probably need more like 20, 25 of these to get to that break-even point with everything else they're giving away.
But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think they make any money other than the marketing. We've seen them make a whole reality show out of it. So probably that's their strategy there. And clearly Circa Sports as a brand has grown. And this has become, I think, not being an expert in the sports betting space, the sort of contest in that space for people to do. And it's all over social media. They do such a good job marketing it.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun, and I love seeing the videos, but the bad beats, and when you get down to the last couple of weeks and somebody loses, and they're probably hedging at that point, but it's still like, oh man, like a game that there's no chance you think to lose, like the Panthers come out and win their one game that year, or whatever it is. It's always good stuff, good TV, as they say.
And speaking of Grandissimo, so that was a project that Jay Sarno wanted to build kind of in the waning years of his life. And it was going to be the largest hotel in the world, over 6,000 rooms. There are some reports that he wanted to build up to 10,000 rooms. And then there's this one piece of concept art that just looks like 1970s repeated over and over, like copy and paste 1970s buildings. I'm not sure I would have loved this being built. I think the spot was around where Allegiant Stadium is now. I'll throw up kind of an aerial of the time to kind of show it to you from UNLV. But yeah, I mean, Grandissimo. And there's a book all about Jay Sarno with that title as well. So this was a big project. He died like 1984, never got to build it.
Yeah, for some reason, the art, like it feels like I've seen that somewhere else before, not in Vegas, not as concept. Like there's a hotel that kind of looks like that, not, over and over and over again, but maybe like 2 of those things. I don't know. It just seems familiar. I just wonder what kind of check-in line lengths do you think we see for 6,000 rooms?
Well, maybe if they put a different lobby in each of the copy and paste buildings. I think it looks like a lot of all-inclusives in Mexico, personally. But a lot of buildings that look like that these days. I mean, I don't know. This is one project. Jay Sarno is such a visionary, building Caesar's Palace, Circus Circus. Obviously a stalwart in the history of Las Vegas. But architecturally, I don't like this one.
I read a little bit about his the article you put in the rundown, and found some interesting stuff, like that he was selling his clothes in college to be able to pay his gambling debts, and then his brother would come bail him out so he'd have get his clothes back. And when he hired his first designer, he said, well, anybody I'm hiring's going to have to be my lady. And she's like, well, I'm already married, and if I wanted to be a prostitute, I could make way more money doing that in Miami versus what you're going to pay me.
I think the article also said that two of his brothers dropped dead at the craps table playing in the
Oh,
casino.
wow.
So
Yeah.
crazy story, crazy life that he had. I think he was living in a casino when he died in 1984 as well, but certainly somebody that gets talked about. I think if you know Vegas really well, you know him, but a lot of kind of casual people don't. And Grandissimo, always cool to see Derek Stevens tying in the history of Las Vegas with his antics.
Yeah, and I think that's why we've seen Circa be the only one of the last few hotels and casinos that have launched that have done well and been successful because they understand what they're shooting for. They lean into Vegas. They brought all the history of Vegas into the property, the lights and everything. It just has that vibe that you're looking for that Resorts World didn't do, Fontainebleau didn't do. We just haven't seen it elsewhere. So I think they did a really good job. So it is possible. Like, it makes it seem like when we talk on the show, every new project's destined to fail, but this is the one that worked, and it works because it's all from one vision, one similar concentration, one person put it all together. I know he had help and everything, but it starts from him down, and we don't see that with some of these other properties.
And he throws a hell of a first pitch. I mean, he got it right on over the plate. You didn't, how many people throw that first pitch and it doesn't even make it there? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Caesars. 1-1 for Canadians. They really want to get the Canadians to come here, and they're offering, I guess, a deposit money with them, and then you get 1-1. So $300 would be about 411 Canadian dollars, and I guess you can do up to $300. So I don't know, $100 savings, but it's interesting. I don't think we've ever seen a promotion or a marketing piece targeted in this way.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. The way they worded it is weird. Originally, I was reading that you can match your Canadian dollars up until you hit a $300 difference. So that'd be like $1,100. That would probably get a lot more people on an airplane. But if it's the $300 and you just get the extra 110 or whatever it is, then it's less exciting. But it is cool. It's a good idea. Hopefully it gets some Canadians to maybe turn. But I don't know that $100 is going to get people to change with the prices the way they are. You're still paying the exchange rate difference for everything else in Vegas, which is already expensive. And then you add that on top of it, it gets crazy.
Caesars is in an interesting place too because they run casino. Well, I was going to say casinos, but I think just the one casino over in Canada. But they do have a player base there, and so they probably draw a little bit more on that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing and kind of plays into the wider discussions we've had about Canadians coming or whether they're not coming and this summer. And yeah, a lot to be seen. Still it's still not empty at 3 a.m. though, so that's good.
I mean, until we get to Josh and Rachel's video at Fontainebleau.
Yeah, that was pretty empty. But let's start at Strat before we get there. And Top Gun, the experience. Strat has Atomic Golf. We've talked about a lot, struggling very badly over there. But we talk all about experiential Las Vegas, all the stuff coming. Universal's Horror Unleashed opening this summer. And here is another one, Top Gun Experience 2028. So they're announcing this several years ahead of time. But there's an interesting name involved with this. Mark Advent from Advent Entertainment. He's one of those guys who spearheaded New York. And he wants to bring this to a plot of land. I think it's right across the street from Strat, if I got my location right. But yeah, I'm excited for it. It looks great.
Yeah, I think this will be really cool. And I always wonder, they always bring this stuff out like years and years after the movie was super successful. Like, why wouldn't you be launching this when the movie comes out? Yes, it could have bombed, but it was unlikely because the first one was successful and this one was done so well that you would think it'd be like, hey, we're doing this at the same time to kind of get people really excited. Maybe they're going to come out with a third Top Gun movie. Who knows? Maybe that's already out there. But I'm excited for this. Definitely something the area needs to draw people there. Maybe this will help Atomic Golf bring in more people. Like, hey, you go there, check that out. Oh, let's go over to Atomic Golf, have a drink, see what that's all about. Helps out the Strat and everything. But they're bringing in the bar from the movie, which we talked about on the travel podcast on MTM Travel. I went to the original one. I'm excited to check that out too. Does the movie version of the bar better? And then them recreating, is that better than the actual version of the bar, which is pretty small and intimate and everything? I don't know. I'm excited.
I don't think the clientele is going to be quite the same as what you experienced in the bar on the base over there. So probably more authentic there. But yeah, like you said, they're building the bar. I think the heart of this is going to be simulators, which I mean, I don't know if that's, obviously the F1 Experience Open, they have simulators, but they have the real go-kart track and the novelty of being on the F1 track. You're really right there. But I agree, having an IP like this is probably what the north end of the strip needs, draw people to the other stuff into the arts district. So if anything was going to do okay there, a strong IP like this is probably it, and a lot of draw for that bar. And so, yeah, I think this is great. It's still a few years away, though, so anything could happen.
it will be like my number one bar. I feel like in Vegas, as long as they do it right and do it the way it was intended to be, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully, they keep the rules in there that if you put your phone down on the bar, they might not be able to do it there, but it does actually happen in the real bar. That if you set your phone down, you have to buy a round for the house. Maybe they'll do some other weird thing that you have to buy, like you have to buy a T-shirt or something. But I hope they incorporate that type of stuff into it, which makes it so unique. I like this idea better than what we've seen with Stranger Things, where they have like a pop-up store that has experiential things, but it's more to sell merch. Now, should we bring up that you can actually do kind of like a Top Gun real life, flying in a fighter jet, and throw up and everything?
Yeah, we've talked about that before. So now you could do both. And I wonder how that's all going to work within the wider ecosystem. Of course, if you made the mistake with the phone, Mark, and you had to buy everybody around with Vegas prices, that would be
oh my gosh,
a bad mistake.
You're going to have to go donate some plasma afterwards or something, and it's going to be bad.
So the Golden Knights, they might be gone for the season, but their night guard are having tryouts. I think this would be cool to do. June 22nd at City National Arena, if you want to do this. The night guards are the people who come on, they clean the ice in between periods. And so you basically got to go out, skate really fast for a couple minutes. I think you have to be 18, but there's no other sort of rules that I came across. And do you think this would be a cool job? I think this would be. I wonder how much they make.
Yeah, I've seen it before in, like minor league hockey and stuff, where they come out and they pop the goalposts off and clean up that area too while the Zamboni is coming around. They shovel out different areas. So if you're big into hockey or big into ice skating, all that stuff, I think it'd be a lot of fun. I'm sure the pay is not great, but can you ice skate?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, not great, but I can not kill myself.
Yeah, ice skating was big around here, like in middle school and stuff. So we would ride a bus over to the ice rink. On Fridays, you could just go straight to the ice rink with your friends. And we'd do that. And I could skate. I just couldn't stop. So I would have to run into the boards. I couldn't do the quick, stop where you're spraying ice up everywhere. Just would jam it right into the boards next to the door to get out. It was pretty bad.
Like a true Las Vegan, I did my first ice skating at a casino, good old Santa Fe back in the day. The ice rink that they moved to Fiesta, that's part of that project. So there you go. Ice skating in a casino, that's the way you should learn.
There you go. It's kind of like skiing in a mall in New Jersey, I guess.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. Lots of laughs behind the channel, our Vegas antics. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So bad news coming from W Las Vegas, the former Delano. The Rivea, that's the restaurant that used to be the mixed lounge restaurant way up at the top next to Skyfall. It's closing. This restaurant probably has some of the best views in all of Las Vegas. Skyfall's remaining open. I'm sure a new concept is going to come here with beautiful views. So yeah, it's probably time. Sometimes restaurants, they just reach their end of life and the space will remain for something beautiful to replace it.
I've walked over there when I've been at Skyfall, but I've never actually had any food or sat down in the restaurant, but it looked like a beautiful space. Skyfall, as everybody knows, is one of my favorite spots in Vegas to go up to and hang out. Such beautiful views, really cool. And then, you have the bathrooms that you have to go into and experience at least one time in your life.
Those bathrooms are incredible and one of Mark's favorite things to talk about. But yeah, well, I'm looking forward. This is all part of the W transition, I'm sure. So
they'll make
basically,
you pee sitting down, Sean. That's how great they are.
Life-changing. Also life-changing, the food court at Fontainebleau. It's interesting when you have a $100 comp, you think, I'm going to a food hall. How much food is that going to get me? And Josh and Rachel have done different videos like this at different food halls, kind of taking a grab. And so they'd had $100 at Fontainebleau and went to 4 different places. You got 3 sushi rolls, 2 birria tacos, a pepperoni pizza, a burger, and yeah, it was about $102. So value not there, but this kind of shows you the food at Fontainebleau Food Hall looks pretty good. They're saying it's pretty good.
Yeah, not a great value, as we've, talked about it, the restaurants there, and that's kind of known. But, the sushi rolls looked a little bit smaller, but the presentation was amazing. They said they were really good, so that looked good. Maybe they spent too much on the presentation, like the box and everything you get for a food court. I don't know. Just seems a bit weird. The pizza, we've talked about on the pizza video, how it's maybe the best looking pizza in Vegas, and then you eat it and you're like, okay, it's just okay for $15. But the burger and tacos looked really good, more expensive, but they definitely, for as far as a food hall goes or food court, they have some decent options. It's just going to come at a cost.
Yeah, you're right about the pretty stuff. Even like a slice of pizza at Miami Slice, you get a box with it and it's all very fancy and put together. I agree with the sushi. It looked really good and tiny. And I compare it to like the sushi place at the Cosmo Food Hall. Is it Sushi Tekka? Or I don't know what the prices are today, but every time I go there, For about $10 less than that, you're getting bigger hand rolls. But yeah, it looked good, and thanks to them for sharing that. They're over there killing it.
I should say, I've been to the food hall 3 times. Every single time it's that empty. I don't know that anybody eats up there.
Yeah, and so they said it was 9 o'clock when they filmed this. I don't know if they said what day, but clearly Fontainebleau not busy. And this kind of shows you, without all the pedestrian traffic, some of the casinos on the South Strip will feel busier because people are coming and going, moving through. At Fontainebleau at 9 o'clock, it's just going to be people who are going to Fontainebleau.
Yeah, most of them probably are staying there or have a dinner reservation. It's not going to be a lot of, oh, let's go check this out as we're walking by and hang out, spend a little bit of money and go to the next spot. You just don't get that there.
So moving out to another one of your favorite places, Boulder City, and the new Outpost 51 Alien Museum is open right next to the already existing Monster Museum, which I didn't know about. It's just this guy, Tom Devlin. He used to work in Hollywood or something, doing all this stuff, and now he's creating these museums. You can book tickets, but you could also book for like $75, I saw, a private tour with Tom through the museum.
Oh, cool.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the Monster Museum looks really well done. The alien, for the few shots we get, looks a little bit less filled out than the Monster, and maybe they'll get there. I'm sure they're doing the opening, and he'll add stuff over the years. The Monster one reminds me of what we saw in Salem when we were there. They lean into all that type of stuff and Halloween and everything. So it seems like a good time. Just another reason, Sean, to go to Boulder City, go to the Dam Lodge and Casino, go check out the Hoover Dam. Like, if you guys haven't done that yet, those 3 things, you definitely need to do it. Well worth it.
And make sure to subscribe so we can get to 100K so we can go to the Pirate House as well. Boulder City all around. It's funny how things come in twos. On the last show, we talked about Fontainebleau, a lot of stuff related to that. And then right after that, some interesting news came out with Fontainebleau and Maurice Wooden, their president. He was getting his gaming license, and he served as the president of Wooden from 2005 till 2019, I believe. So long history here in Las Vegas. And he did get his license, but something sort of leaked out in the hearing that Fontainebleau is now under investigation for anti-money laundering, for not sticking to their practices, specifically the ownership. Maybe Jeffrey Soffer seems to imply that kind of went around credit practices for some of his friends around the opening time. A lot of that sort of stuff kind of leaked out in this. We don't have an official confirmation, but it seems like they're out for blood here, man. We see fines with Resorts World, MGM, Wynn, and now here we go, Fontainebleau.
Well, and the guy comes from Wynn, and they just got a fine, and that happened while he was there, a lot of it. I'm sure whatever he was doing there, he brings here and kind of gets them rolling. But yeah, I mean, I could see that happening if you're the owner and your friends come to me, hey, I want a marker, and you're like, yeah, we'll figure this out. Don't worry about it. Even though you can't do it, it just seems like something that would go down. But yeah, they're looking everywhere for everything, which is probably good.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how this clearly shows there was a culture of this stuff happening across many casinos. And you wonder, from a perspective of Genting at Resorts World or even Fontainebleau, who don't have Vegas casinos, they're bringing in talent that's from Vegas, expecting that you're going to do things the right way, and this doesn't happen. Of course, everything with Fontainebleau is alleged, and it sort of leaked out in this hearing, so I'm sure at some point we'll get a final report and figure out, when they conclude their investigation. So we don't know that Fontainebleau did anything wrong. We don't know that Wooden's done anything wrong since he's been there, but it's not a good thing. They don't really need a huge gaming investigation to do it. But I mean, it's so fascinating that the 2 major strip resorts that opened just a few years ago, one has already had a giant fine and now the other one is under investigation. Somebody's got to get something under control here.
Well, I think it's more likely if you're new to make mistakes, because you're not even if you hire people that have done it before, the whole system isn't built up like it should be probably. So it's not too surprising that they've got kind of caught doing this. And I'm sure if you dig deep enough in any casino, they could definitely find it. Imagine if they went this hard back when the mob was running things.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they did.
There'd be more holes in the desert.
But yeah, he also had to answer for the fact, how did all the Steve Wynn accusations, everything that was accused against him, how did all that happen under your leadership without you noticing? So he had a lot of tough questions to answer. At the end of the day, they gave him his license, though. So I think that tells you sort of where things are at. And we don't know what's the future of Fontainebleau is. I think also, I was thinking about crypto, and just all of this has to make it all a little bit more difficult to kind of keep up with everything. And I'm sure that plays a role into all this. I think that we're going to have to see a rebirth of anti-money laundering in Vegas casinos. I'm sure compliance people are going to love it. More compliance jobs.
More bean counters.
That's what we need. More bean counters everywhere. Let's Keep us in line, cut back all the cool stuff. So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. The Alien Museum out in Boulder City, Rivea closing. What do you want to see at the top of the W Las Vegas? Fontainebleau and all of these sort of revelations that came out in the hearing. Leave a comment. Grandissimo. Tell us about Grandissimo, the sports thing, the resort. Let us know. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
You know the worst first pitch ever?
What?
Denard Robinson, Michigan quarterback at a Tigers game. You need to look it up and watch it. It's so bad.
This is a Vegas show, not a Michigan show.
Have a good week, everybody.